A new game has become trendy among the high society elite, choosing a wife by drawing lots. On the day of my grandfather's 80th birthday party, my two childhood sweethearts decided to use this very game to determine which of them would earn the right to be my bride. But when it was time to draw, they impulsively grabbed a mute waitress to join in. After the waitress drew the slip of paper with a turtle on it, they jeered and dared me to marry the mute girl, all because they wanted to please the male student I was sponsoring. Watching the mute waitress, cornered and helpless as everyone stared, I stepped forward to defend her. "Fine," I declared. "I'll marry her one." Hearing my words, Lydia Vance's smile vanished. "Sincere Harrington, what did you just say?" Samantha Sinclair also tried to smooth things over. "Sincere must be joking. He's always been so humorous. I've seen how good Sincere has been to you both. How could he possibly marry a strange woman on a whim? And a mute one at that." Even Ethan Miller thought I was joking. He spoke with an air of confidence. "I bet Sincere is just putting on a show for everyone to get out of this. He doesn't really intend to marry her." After hearing Ethan, Lydia and Samantha's expressions soured, their gazes turning to me with disgust. "Sincere, weren't you the one who said you'd marry whoever drew the turtle? Going back on your word isn't very manly." Their taunts left a bitter taste in my mouth. I remembered how I'd had autism as a child, lost in my own world, blocking out everything around me. The doctors said if I continued like that, I might never be able to integrate into society. Then, as a little boy, I was abducted by kidnappers. It was Lydia and Samantha, on their way home from school, who stumbled upon the scene. The two little girls were incredibly brave. To save me, they actually summoned the courage to confront the criminals. Lydia's neck was bruised from an assailant's grip, and Samantha was cut while trying to protect me. "Let them go, I've already called the police." Those were the first words I had ever spoken. After that, we were rescued, and my autism improved significantly. From then on, I visited Lydia and Samantha often. We grew up together, the closest of childhood friends. There was a time when they put me first in everything. When someone maliciously broke my model car, they would tear into the person for me. When they were the targets of vicious rumors, I would stop at nothing to find the source and bring them to justice. Over time, it seemed they both developed feelings for me. Everyone in our circle knew they liked me, and everyone assumed I would marry one of them. It's why my family never arranged any blind dates for me over the years. Then, just 2 days ago, they heard about the wife by lottery game and insisted we had to play it. Before we started, I even asked them, what if someone else draws the turtle? Lydia had reassured me the draw is just a formality. "I'll draw a turtle on every slip of paper. I'll go first so your wife can only be me." Samantha had chimed in, insisting she would be the one to draw first. Seeing they had it all planned out, I was happy to play along with their little game. Instead, it devolved into this farce. The truth is, their closeness with Ethan Miller wasn't a recent development. Some time ago, Ethan had said he wanted to treat me to dinner to thank me for my financial support. Lydia and Samantha came along that day. After that brief meeting with Ethan, their visits to me became less and less frequent. Meanwhile, their relationship with him grew closer and closer. I was a fool back then. I just thought they were free-spirited and warm, the type to get along well with anyone. Now, it was clear that Ethan had gradually replaced me in their hearts. Since they've chosen Ethan, I'll let them have him. I had one of the household staff take the voiceless waitress away, to spare her from any more of this undeserved chaos. But Lydia and Samantha weren't about to let the girl go. Samantha even shoved the mute waitress aside. "Sincere Harrington, this whole thing was just to teach you a lesson. Who told you to humiliate Ethan at the dinner table?" Samantha threw the accusation at me like a stone. Lydia picked up where she left off, adding, "Exactly how could you bully him? It's not his fault he comes from a poor background. All you have to do is apologize to Ethan, and we'll drop this whole thing about you marrying the mute." I let out a cold laugh, stepping in front of the waitress to shield her. "I'm making my stand right here and now. I, Sincere Harrington, am a man of my word and will not go back on it, and from now on, you will show some respect. She is not the mute. She is your sister-in-law." At my words, Lydia and Samantha's faces turned ugly, but the look they gave my nameless fiancé was still dripping with contempt. "Sincere Harrington, I'd like to see if you'll actually go through with marrying this mute." With that, the two of them left with Ethan. The other guests began to disperse. What should have been a joyous birthday celebration ended on a sour note. Even my grandfather's gaze towards me had turned cold. "You foolish boy. You made this mess, you deal with it. You've made your declaration today. So don't let the family become a laughingstock if you do. I'll be the first to break your legs, grandfather, I understand." After seeing my grandfather off, I got the contact information of my new fiancée. Only then did I learn her name, Victoria Wellington. It was a beautiful name, and she was a beautiful woman. I just didn't know why she was unable to speak. To salvage the Harrington family's reputation, my grandfather told me to arrange the wedding as soon as possible. Naturally, this meant I began spending more time with Victoria. Today, we had an appointment to look at wedding rings. I took Victoria straight to Elysian Jewels. Elysian Jewels was the most famous high-end custom jewelry store in the city. I'd heard they had a diamond ring that was a bestseller, a special design that could only be gifted to one person in a lifetime. A few days ago, I had gotten Victoria's ring size and passed it on to the staff at Elysian. Today, they called to inform me the ring was ready. So I brought Victoria along to try it on. I didn't expect to see Ethan Miller the moment we walked in. As we entered, he was staring at a jade pendant in a display case. They say a Buddha head pendant can bring good fortune. I've been having such bad luck lately, I wonder if someone's working against me. It's just a Buddha pendant. If you like it, I'll buy it for you. That was Samantha Sinclair's voice. Lydia Vance glanced at the pendant and sneered. "It's just a pendant. Ethan, try on this Rolex. It suits you." "Thank you, Lydia, Samantha. You're both so good to me." These three were absolutely everywhere. I had intended to avoid them, but before I could even turn around, they spotted us. What bad luck. I frowned, looking at Lydia and Samantha. The two of them, flanking Ethan, instantly dropped his arms the moment they saw me. Their faces were flushed with guilt, their hands fidgeting awkwardly. It was Samantha who broke the silence first. "Sincere, what are you doing here? What else would I be doing here?" My impatient tone must have set Lydia off, because her own temper flared. "Sincere Harrington, didn't we already make things clear to you? Just apologize to Ethan, and all of this will be forgotten. Are you parading this mute around just to spite us?" I turned to face her, enunciating each word. "I did nothing wrong. Why should I apologize to him? And what do you mean, spite you? As if you're worth me stooping that low. Sincere Harrington, what's that supposed to mean? You've got a lot of nerve now, don't you? Giving us attitude? Did this mute put you up to this?" "She's a mute, and you still want her." Lydia rattled off a long tirade. Both she and Samantha were daughters of wealthy families, spoiled since childhood. Over the years, countless people had avoided them because of their tempers. I was the only one who, out of gratitude for what they did for me all those years ago, had always been patient with them, letting their arrogance slide. But now, I was done making allowances. "I warned you last time. She is my fiancée, and you will treat her with respect. If you can't learn to respect people, I don't mind teaching you a lesson myself. Sincere, are you serious?" "I already said, we can just draw again." "I'll make sure I get the turtle this time," Samantha retorted, unconvinced. "Enough, I have no interest in playing your childish games. If you want to coddle Ethan, find someone else to do it. Stop bothering me." Lydia stared at me in astonishment. You knew?" After my grandfather's birthday party, I had been curious where Samantha and Lydia had heard of such a ridiculous game, a trick favored by spoiled heirs. So, I had the Harrington butler do some digging. It turned out the idea had come from Ethan himself. The fact that it was Ethan's idea and that they had agreed to it made their actions all the more cruel, and it completely extinguished any lingering feelings I had for them. My wedding with Victoria was only a few days away. I had no time to waste on them. I took Victoria's hand and went directly to the staff member we were meeting. The associate led us into the Black Diamond very important person room and went to retrieve our custom pieces. We had just sat down when we heard a commotion outside.
Ma'am, miss, we've already made it very clear.
This necklace was custom made for Mr. Harrington. If you would like one, we can create a new one for you. It will only take a few days. As for this necklace and wedding ring set, I'm sorry, but we cannot sell it to you. A moment later, Lydia and Samantha stormed in. They both asked me at the same time, "What are you buying wedding rings for?" As if they didn't know why I was buying wedding rings. I had just made it perfectly clear. Even if they refused to believe what I'd said, a simple inquiry would have told them that the Harrington family was in the midst of frantic wedding preparations. At the end of the day, it just proved they didn't care about me. I laughed coldly. "I believe I just made myself perfectly clear." Samantha, who had been staring at me, suddenly seemed to remember something and smiled. "Sincere, that's impossible. You must be buying the rings secretly, to give me a surprise, right?" Lydia, on the other hand, looked disdainful. "Since you ordered all these necklaces, Ethan might as well try them on." Ethan tugged at Lydia's sleeve. "Big L, even if Sincere doesn't want them, I'm not worthy of wearing them." Lydia and Samantha looked at Ethan with pity. Lydia turned directly to me and said, "Sincere Harrington, you can't wear all this jewelry anyway. Just let Ethan pick first." Samantha was slightly more diplomatic. "Sincere, you can't possibly wear every piece. Just spare one for Ethan." These two were truly despicable to the core. Setting aside the fact that these necklaces were women's designs, even if they weren't, why on earth would I give them to an ungrateful snake like Ethan? I paid to have this jewelry custom made. Why should I just give it to him for free? My simple statement made both Lydia's and Samantha's faces darken. "Sincere Harrington, we're all human. What gives you the right to look down on Ethan's background? Ethan was right about you. You're nothing but a snob, too stingy to even part with a single jade necklace." I was so angry I had to laugh. I'd give this jewelry to a dog before I'd give it to him. Ethan said nothing, but his eyes reddened. Lydia and Samantha were heartbroken for him. "Don't be sad, I'll buy all of these necklaces for you." While they were calling for a staff member to ring them up, Ethan appeared before me. He held up his hand, showing me a ring on his ring finger. "See? Lydia gave me this ring. She said it's the kind you can only give to one person in your lifetime." Ethan even took the ring off to show me the engraving inside. The man kept droning on like a fly. I'd had enough. I raised my hand and slapped Ethan across the face. Ethan stared at me in shock, taking a moment to process what had happened. When Lydia and Samantha snapped out of it, they grabbed me, demanding I apologize. "Sincere Harrington, you've gone too far. Apologize to Ethan right now. Apologize?" What was there to apologize for? I was wrong. Seeing me admit fault, Lydia and Samantha's expression softened slightly. But in the next second, I changed my tune. "I was wrong to have been so blind, wrong to have ever known the two of you, Victoria. Let's go. This place is tainted. We don't want these things anymore." I grabbed Victoria's hand to leave. Lydia rushed forward, blocking my path. "Sincere Harrington, apologize to Ethan, or you're not leaving this store today." I calmly looked at Lydia and Samantha, who were glaring at me. "Whether I can leave or not isn't up to you." Samantha raised her hand to slap me, but her wrist was caught. It was Victoria. I was quite surprised by Victoria's defense of me. Thwarted by Victoria, Samantha was furious. "You're just a mute, a nobody. You dare interfere in our business?" As we stood at a stalemate, the store manager, Manager Quinn, rushed over with security guards. He bowed respectfully in mine and Victoria's direction. "Our miss has given the order. The jewelry in our store is for sale to Mr. Harrington, and no one else too. All of you, what are you standing around for? Get these troublemakers out of here, and you," the manager barked at his staff, "what are you paid for? Our most valued guest is in trouble, and you don't think to help him immediately?" Manager Quinn snatched the shopping bags from Ethan's hands. Ethan was practically seething. "You're running a business, aren't you? Why won't you sell to me here at Elysian Jewels? We do business based on our mood. Anyone who upsets Mr. Harrington is not welcome here." Ethan's face twisted with rage. "You think we're desperate for the jewelry here?" Lydia, being a socialite, knew full well the status of Elysian jewels. Her face was grim. "Manager Quinn, I order jewelry from you every year. You're just going to cut me off like that?"
"My apologies, Miss Vance."
Manager Quinn remained polite but firm as he had the three of them escorted out of the store. Once the farce was over, the manager reported respectfully to Victoria. "Miss, it has been handled as you instructed." I stared at Victoria in astonishment. It was then that Victoria explained everything to me. She wasn't a waitress at all. That day, to escape some minor trouble, she had put on a waitress's uniform. She never expected that, by a twist of fate, it would lead to a marriage proposal from me. Knowing her identity, I felt a sense of relief. Given the circumstances, it was highly unlikely that an ordinary person could have just wandered into my grandfather's birthday banquet. Because of the whole chaotic scene, I felt that the rings and necklaces we had chosen were now tainted. I decided to have new ones made. We selected a new wedding ring and a gift for the bride from a catalog, and they took our measurements. The manager smiled and said, "We will have them delivered directly to your home once they are ready." The difference in his attitude towards us compared to the other three was like night and day. I returned home in a daze. I was passively getting ready for the wedding. Just then, a servant holding a flower pot asked me, "Young master, this peony hasn't been watered in a long time. It's withered." I looked at the white pagoda peony, a gift from Lydia. I used to water it myself, but lately I'd been so overwhelmed by the drama with Lydia and Samantha that I hadn't even noticed the flower had died. Perhaps our relationship, like this flower, had already withered away, worn down by one incident after another. Throw it out. The words had barely left my mouth when I turned and came face to face with Lydia's furious expression. "Sincere Harrington, is this how you treat the peony I gave you?" I frowned, looking at Lydia, Ethan, and Samantha. The three of them were treating my home like a public market. "Butler, what are you doing? Get them out of here from now on. If you let any riffraff like this in again, you won't have a place here either." Hearing this, Samantha grew anxious. She quickly took out a ring and thrust it at me. "We came here specifically to give you this couple's ring, Sincere. Please don't kick us out. Give that ring to whoever you want. I don't want it. I'll say this one last time. Please leave now, otherwise don't blame me for having you thrown out." Samantha and Lydia were desperate and tried to explain further. Just then my mother arrived, calling out cheerfully, "Sincere, look who's here." I turned to see Manager Quinn from Elysian Jewels following my mother, along with a beautiful and fresh-faced young woman. I was wondering who the girl was when my mother introduced her. "It's Victoria Wellington, your fiancée. Don't you recognize her in a different outfit?" Today, Victoria had not only changed her clothes but was also wearing light makeup. For a moment, I truly hadn't recognized her. Victoria's gaze swept around the room, finally settling on my face with a frown. She walked up to me and asked in sign language, "Why are they here?" Because of my childhood autism and reluctance to speak, I had learned sign language for a time, so I understood her immediately. Not wanting her to worry about my problems, I deftly changed the subject. "What are you doing here?" Before Victoria could answer, Manager Quinn spoke up. "Weren't we supposed to come over today to formally discuss the marriage arrangements? Miss saw that you were taking a long time, so she came over herself, only to find it was only then that my mother noticed Samantha and her friends were still there. She already disliked Samantha and Lydia, and seeing them pestering me now only intensified her feelings. "Security, get these three wretched scoundrels out of here. How dare they dirty the doorstep of the Harrington house?" Although Samantha tried to salvage the situation, she was no match for my forthright mother. Once the three were removed by security, the world was finally quiet. A few days later, after the betrothal gifts were exchanged, the wedding day arrived as scheduled. My parents and grandfather pulled out all the stops to give me a grand wedding, using all their best resources. That's how we managed to book the most luxurious hotel in the city. I picked up my bride from the Wellington estate, and we headed for the hotel. The long convoy of luxury cars attracted the attention of many passers-by. I was tossing wedding favors out the window with Victoria by my side. We were immersed in the joy of our wedding day when I turned my head and saw two familiar figures in the crowd. It was Lydia and Samantha. Were they here to watch the spectacle? I saw them stoop to pick up a few of the wedding candies. When they saw that the groom in the car was me, their faces turned green. This time, in addition to candies, we had also prepared small gold nuggets. I tossed a handful out, and the onlookers, seeing no reason not to grab free gold, immediately swarmed forward. Lydia seemed to have suddenly lost her mind, pushing desperately into the crowd. Even the usually composed Samantha followed her, shoving her way in. Lydia finally managed to get close to the wedding car. She looked at me, her eyes filled with confusion and bewilderment. With tears in her eyes, she watched me drive further away, crying. Sincere Samantha was pushed to the side of the road. Normally so meticulous about her appearance, she didn't even notice her disheveled hair. Hearing Lydia's cries, she snapped back to reality, shaking her head in disbelief. How could this be? Why did Sincere actually marry that mute? It was just a joke. I pulled my gaze away, pushing the little interruption to the back of my mind. We were about 10 minutes from the hotel when the driver suddenly slammed on the brakes. I steadied Victoria to keep her from falling. What happened? The driver's face was grim as he pointed ahead. Mr. Harrington, Miss Vance has blocked the road with her car. I rolled down the window and looked ahead. Lydia and Samantha were both there. They had parked their car sideways, completely blocking the road. Amid the blare of car horns, Lydia and Samantha walked towards me. Lydia opened my car door, trying to pull me out, her voice urgent. Sincere, how can you marry someone else? Samantha was smarter. She chose to speak to my bride, Victoria. You're just a waitress, and a mute one at that. You and Sincere are from different worlds. You can't get married over a stupid bet. Get out of the car now. I shook off Lydia's hand and demanded, You were the ones who wanted me to choose a wife by drawing lots. Now I've chosen a wife. What are you so dissatisfied about? Lydia said frantically. Sincere, that was just a game. How can you take a game seriously? I know you're doing this because you're angry with us. I apologize. I've already gotten the ring back from Ethan. From now on, that ring will only be for you to wear. Don't waste your breath. I'm getting married to my wife today. If you continue to obstruct us, don't blame me for having you forcibly removed. Lydia lost all reason. This mute must be forcing you, right? I'll get rid of her right now. She lunged to grab Victoria. I shielded Victoria behind me, and Lydia and Samantha couldn't even touch the hem of her clothes. Samantha, with tears in her eyes, looked at me plaintively. Sincere, you used to be the one who protected us. Although Lydia and Samantha held some sway in our social circle, as women, they were still vulnerable to malicious gossip, and they weren't as physically strong as I was. So I was usually the one to fight their battles. Back then, they would stand behind me, repaying my protection with their own loyalty. But gradually, they forgot that I was human too, that when I was hurt, I also felt pain. Ultimately, they just felt that their free bodyguard had betrayed them by choosing someone else, and that someone else was a waitress they looked down on. It was nothing more than a bruised ego. I looked at them both and said, After I'm married, it would be best if we kept our distance. I'm afraid my wife might feel insecure and that would upset her. No, you can't. You can't marry her seeing my determination, Lydia screamed hysterically. She threw herself in front of the wedding car without a care for her image. If you insist on going to the hotel, you'll have to run over my dead body seeing Lydia's shameless display. I clenched my fists. Did she really have to ruin such an important day for me? I asked sharply. When you pulled a stranger into your game of drawing lots, did you not consider this as a possible outcome? Lydia's body trembled as if she finally understood. It's because of your Harrington family motto, our word is our bond. That's why you're marrying her, right? I didn't answer, but Lydia grabbed my hand excitedly. It doesn't matter, just say I was the one who drew the turtle. The one who should be marrying you is me." Before she could finish, her head was suddenly snapped to the side. I then realized that Victoria had, at some point, moved in front of Lydia and slapped her hard across the face. The manager behind her translated her sign language. "I'm collecting the slap you owe Sincere Harrington." "Lydia Vance, don't you think you're pathetic? You didn't cherish Sincere when he liked you. You did everything you could to trample on his feelings. What right do you have to block his wedding car now? What gives you the right? You don't deserve his kindness." Lydia turned her head back in disbelief. "You're just a waitress. How dare you hit me?" She lunged at Victoria in a rage, but the manager and I shielded her, backing away. Lydia had even brought bodyguards just to ruin the wedding procession, but Victoria, it turned out, had brought more people, and they overpowered Lydia's bodyguards with ease. Afterward, the guards moved Lydia and Samantha to the side of the road and smashed the car they had used to block our way. Lydia shrieked, "My Bentley is worth over $1 million, Victoria, you vixen. How dare you smash my car? I'll make sure you go bankrupt paying for it," Victoria nonchalantly signed. "If I dared to smash it, I'm not worried about a little money. You used your car to stop Sincere from marrying me." Of course I had to clear the obstacle for him. Lydia stared at the poised and imposing Victoria. "You're just a waitress. How dare you?" Victoria linked her arm with mine. "As long as Sincere is willing to marry me, I will find infinite courage for him." Samantha, as if suddenly understanding the situation, immediately said, "Sincere, we know you're not marrying this woman willingly. As long as you don't marry her, we're willing to apologize with you to your grandfather and everyone else. Choosing a wife by lottery was just a game. Don't throw away your entire life's happiness for a game." Lydia, regaining her senses, chimed in. "That's right. Sincere, it's okay if you don to marry me, but you can't just rush into a marriage like this." The two of them had changed their strategy, now claiming it was all for my own good. Victoria silently gripped my arm, but I could feel her body trembling slightly. She seemed nervous. Everyone was waiting for my answer. I drew my arm from Victoria's grasp, only to take her hand and hold it tightly in mine. Her palm was a little damp, covered in a thin layer of sweat. When she heard me speak, she even flinched nervously. "I will not abandon Victoria." Victoria's expression shifted from stunned to disappointed, and finally settled on surprised delight. I tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear and said softly, "I remember how you stood up for me. I will never forget the day of the lottery, when you stood by my side and didn't leave. Now, no matter what anyone says, I will not leave you to face this alone." I gave Lydia and Samantha one last look. "From now on, there is nothing between us. Do not disturb my wife and me ever again." The two of them finally broke down, crying and begging me not to go. The obstacle ahead was cleared, and the wedding car soon arrived at the hotel. To my surprise, the entrance to the hotel was packed with people. When Victoria and I got out of the car, a long red carpet was rolled out, and a flower girl and ring bearer scattered petals to welcome us. In the wedding hall, I met Chairman Reginald Wellington, a business magnate I had only ever seen on financial news channels. Chairman Wellington placed Victoria's hand in mine. "If my Victoria weren't so set on marrying you, I would have definitely vetted you a bit longer. You'd better treat my daughter well from now on, kid." Although I had gathered from the manager's words that Victoria was no ordinary heiress, I had never imagined her family was this powerful and influential. Even after the wedding was over, I still felt a little dazed. Victoria explained to me that she was the youngest child in the Wellington family and had always been doted on. But because she couldn't speak as a child, her parents had taken her abroad for treatment. They stayed there for over a decade. She had only returned to the country in the last 2 years. I asked her why she came back. Victoria lowered her head, took my hand, and drew a smiley face on my palm. It all clicked. I remembered a business trip abroad once where I saw a group of foreigners teasing a waitress, calling her a mute, saying they could bully her and she wouldn't make a sound. They even started talking about luring her to a hotel. I couldn't stand it. I found some excuse and got into a fight with them. When I looked up, I realized the waitress had been watching the whole time. To comfort her, I drew a smiley face on a glass window, hoping she would be happy from then on. I never imagined she would remember it for so long. Victoria said, "After that day I took part-time jobs everywhere, hoping I might find you one day. My condition wasn't fully cured, so I didn't want to come back. But then my parents mentioned a man named Sincere Harrington who sounded a lot like you, so I flew back specifically to see. That day, I happened to be in some trouble myself and had put on a waitress's uniform. When I saw you, I thought you might recognize me, but I never expected to walk into a scene like that. They are so awful what right do. They have to bully you like that." Seeing Victoria's adorable expression as she defended me, my heart melted, and I gently pulled her into a hug. "Now that I have you, I'll never be bullied again." Victoria nodded emphatically. "I'll protect you from now on." I smiled and kissed her forehead. Victoria shyly hid in my arms. I thought I had scared her and quickly apologized. Victoria immediately cupped my face and pressed her lips to mine. I deepened the kiss. On our wedding night, we barely slept. The bridal suite my family had prepared for me wasn't even as big as the swimming pool at Victoria's family villa. But Victoria seemed perfectly comfortable, showing no dissatisfaction at all. I noticed Victoria liked sky blue and planned to take her shopping for some new furniture to decorate our home. The best furniture city in town was also owned by Elysian. The moment Victoria walked in, the manager recognized her as the boss's daughter. "Whatever Miss fancies, I'll have it sent to your home immediately." Before I could answer, I heard a shriek from nearby. "How dare you treat me like this? I have money, I'll pay it back." I turned my head and saw Ethan Miller surrounded by several people. The manager explained, "That's a deadbeat who owes us money. At first he would come in with wealthy women who would buy him clothes or luxury goods. Then he'd bring the items back for a refund. Over time he became a regular, so we didn't inspect the returns as carefully. But when we checked, we found that several of the items he'd returned were fakes we sent people to collect the debt, but he just refuses to pay. He's been a real headache. I didn't want to run into him, and was about to lead Victoria away when Ethan's sharp eyes spotted me. He lunged forward, grabbing my pant leg and begging, "Sincere, please. You have to save Lydia. Her family is about to send her off in an arranged marriage. She's sacrificing herself so you don't fall into a trap. I don't have enough money to save her. Sincere, I know you resent me, but you can't just abandon Lydia. Please, lend me some money to save her." I was confused. What did Lydia's arranged marriage have to do with him borrowing money? Besides, an arranged marriage was probably a good thing for Lydia. With her personality, it was only a matter of time before Ethan sweet-talked her into marrying him. Once she left the Vance family, how would Ethan support her? An arranged marriage would at least guarantee Lydia a comfortable life. Seeing my lack of reaction, Ethan shouted, "You can't just forget your old flame who was so good to you now that you have someone new." His words immediately drew a crowd of onlookers. "He looks decent enough, but I can't believe he's a scumbag who betrayed his ex." "Look, that man is on his knees. He must have been terribly wrong to kneel like that." Hearing the chatter, I sneered. "Are you borrowing money from me for Lydia or for your gambling addiction?" Ethan froze, then stammered defensively, "Of course it's to save Lydia. I wasn't thinking about gambling. I only gambled because I wanted to save Lydia, to give her a better life. So that's why you've been seducing so many women, having them pay for you, and passing off fakes as real goods to scam money? That's what you call for Lydia's happiness?" The moment the word gambling was out, the crowd's opinion shifted. Gamblers are the worst, they're natural-born liars, and he tried to blame someone else. The nerve of him. In an instant, Ethan became the target of everyone's scorn. Nearly drowned in a sea of insults, he fled in shame. Victoria and I finished picking out furniture and went home. The next morning, I woke up to find that the video of Ethan calling me a scumbag had gone viral. Based on just a few out-of-context words, netizens had branded me a scumbag. Ethan was handsome, and some people, captivated by his looks, unconditionally sided with him.
They launched an online attack against me and Victoria.
My first reaction was to worry that Victoria would be scared. After all, cyberbullying can destroy a person. But to my surprise, Victoria's first reaction was to worry that I would be hurt. She knew it was all lies. We looked at each other and smiled. Then each used our own resources to get the full video and evidence of Ethan's scams trending online. Ethan probably thought it would take a while for the truth to come out, giving him time to cash in on a wave of new fans. He never expected that the power of our wealth would leave him with nowhere to hide. His few thousand followers all turned on him. What devoted second lead? Turns out he's the real gold digger. It's so easy for guys to make money these days. Just play the victim, and a bunch of rich women will pay your bills. Ladies, please don't be fooled by men like this. A gambling addiction is a lifelong problem. Just when I thought the matter was settled, Samantha Sinclair posted a video. She claimed to be a victim of the scumbag who preys on rich women. She said Ethan had professed his love for her, constantly asking for money and luxury goods. Because she liked him, she had bought him many things. She never imagined he was such a despicable person. Netizens flooded her with sympathy. They saw that Samantha was both beautiful and pitiable, and instantly took a liking to her. To thank her supporters, she announced that anyone who purchased a home in her family's Sinclair Properties developments would receive a 20% discount. Samantha was still as clever as ever. She knew the wronged, wealthy woman persona was popular, and she gained over 100,000 followers from a single video. She even managed to boost her company's stock price. After that, I stopped paying attention and focused on renovating our marital home with Victoria. Our home was almost finished when I ran into Samantha on my way out. She was standing at our main gate holding a bouquet of flowers with several camera crews behind her. When she saw me, her face lit up. "Sincere, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I'm here to propose to you. I was wrong before. I was too busy with work and neglected you. I promise I'll be good to you from now on. Will you give me another chance?" The camera lenses were all pointed at me. I walked step by step toward Samantha and asked earnestly, "Are you really here to propose to me?" Samantha froze. She hesitated for a moment, but finally steeled herself. "Yes, I hope you can forgive my past mistakes." I pointed at the cameras. "Then what are the cameras for? You keep saying Victoria is forcing me, but she has never asked me to do anything. Aren't you the one trying to force me now?" Samantha stood rooted to the spot. "I was just trying to win you back." I gave a bitter smile. "You brought all these cameras to film your proposal. Was it really to win me back, or was it for your own publicity?" As if I had hit a nerve, a flash of guilt crossed Samantha's face. "I want both. Is it wrong for me to want publicity?" "You're not wrong. But you are wrong to bother me when you know perfectly well that I'm already married. If you want to use me, you'd better see if I'm willing first." Sensing a conflict, the camera zoomed in on our faces. I paid them no mind. Right now, my only concern was protecting the person I wanted to protect. "Samantha, listen to me carefully. If you hurt my family, if you hurt my wife, Victoria, I am not without means to deal with you. Look at what happened to Ethan." As soon as I finished speaking, Samantha swatted the cameras away, telling them to stop filming. Finally, her gaze fell on me. "Sincere, is there really no chance for us at all? You were the one who didn't want me first. I won't wait around forever." Turning back, I found Victoria waiting for me by the door. She still looked a little nervous. The moment I reached her, she gripped my hand tightly. I patted the back of her hand to reassure her. "Victoria, I will love you for the rest of my life." When Victoria and I returned from our honeymoon, we heard that Lydia had married Ethan. It wasn't that the Vance family had abandoned her, but that Lydia had gotten pregnant with Ethan's child. Ethan had somehow managed to trick Lydia into meeting him. By the time Lydia returned to her family, she was already pregnant. She wanted to terminate the pregnancy. She didn't want to have Ethan's child, didn't want to be tied to him. But a pregnant Lydia had lost her value in the arranged marriage market. In the end, she had no choice but to marry Ethan. The next time I saw Lydia, it was at a street-side fried food stall. She had lost her old arrogance. Her gaze towards me was furtive and avoidant, and she ended up venting her anger on Ethan. "We have a customer. Aren't you going to get the food out?" I shook my head. "My wife is pregnant. She can't eat this." Even as we walked far away, I could still hear Lydia and Ethan's hysterical argument. They were scaring away their customers. There's nothing wrong with selling fried food. Any honest living is fine. But Lydia was clearly unhappy with her situation. Before, Lydia was unhappy with me, unhappy with her family's arranged marriage. Now, married to Ethan, she was still unhappy. Afraid the shouting would upset Victoria, I covered her ears and led her forward. "What happened?" She signed. "Just people who don't matter anymore. Everyone has their own life to live. At least I am now very satisfied with mine." The end. My wife, who had always disliked children, suddenly became fond of the neighbor's baby, staying out until the early hours every day to take care of her. She not only neglected me, but even ignored my surgery after a car accident. I couldn't take it anymore. At the party celebrating my discharge from the hospital, I asked for a divorce. Friends and family all said the car crash had messed with my head. My wife, Victoria Turner, furiously threw her drink in my face and berated me with uncontrollable anger. "Is this all because I didn't look after you in the hospital? Are you really this jealous of a 6-month-old baby?" I slowly wiped the stain from my clothes, glanced at the suggestive red mark on her neck, and said in a cold tone, "Since you love his child so much, once we're divorced, I'll let you be with them forever." Chapter 1. Victoria's expression was a complex mix of emotions. She pulled her collar up, trying to hide her neck. Her eyes were red with anger as she roared at me. "Sincere? What do you mean by that? I was looking after Nancy to learn about childcare, so I could take care of our own children in the future. And now you want to divorce me for such a flimsy reason? Have you gone mad?" I ignored her shouting, my face devoid of any emotion. Calmly, I took the prepared divorce papers from my bag and handed them to her. "Sign it. I'll see you at the courthouse tomorrow morning." The surrounding friends and family were all stunned, their burning gazes fixed on me. But I no longer cared. I left the papers and prepared to leave. They couldn't believe that we, the couple everyone envied, would suddenly be getting a divorce. Victoria's eyes were filled with astonishment. She hadn't expected me to have the divorce papers ready. Seeing my resolute attitude, my mother, Mary Smith, finally realized I wasn't joking. She was the first to pick up the papers from the table. After a quick glance, her face darkened. "Son, are you really getting a divorce? You and Vicky have been married for 10 years and have always had a good relationship. What on earth happened?" They pleaded with me to reconsider, and even Victoria's best friend, Chloe, tried to persuade me. "That's right, Sincere. You and Vicky have been together for 10 years. Don't let this thing with the neighbor's baby ruin it all. She only helped out because the neighbor is a single father, and she felt sorry for the child. Do you have to be so petty? She didn't want children back then because she was afraid of holding back your career. Why can't you see her good intentions?" The others around us also began to accuse me of being heartless. I remained silent, simply pushing the divorce papers in front of Victoria again. "This divorce is happening. I can't tolerate this any longer." My father, Robert Smith, who had rushed over after hearing the news, slapped me hard across the face. A fiery sting instantly spread across my cheek. I clutched my swelling face as I heard his furious roar. "You unfilial son, how dare you divorce a wonderful woman like Vicky? I'll beat you to death. Vicky has managed this household all these years so you could build your career. Have you no shame wanting a divorce now?" My mom immediately stepped in to break it up, holding my hand and pleading, "Son, if there's a problem, talk it out. Don't just throw the word divorce around. You'll never find a daughter-in-law this good again. If you're doing this because you found someone new, your mother will not forgive you." I slowly lifted my head, the taste of blood spreading in my mouth, surrounded by the buzz of discussion. Victoria immediately rushed to my side with a look of concern tending to my wound. She was always so considerate. In front of others, she was the perfect wife, but only I knew the bitterness between us. Honey, I know you might have fallen for someone else, but I'm the only one who truly cares about you. We were childhood sweethearts and we've been married for 10 years. How could we divorce over something so small? I don't care about your flings on the side. As long as you're willing to come home, I won't mind." With just a few words, Victoria had turned the tables, suggesting I was the one who had found someone new. The room erupted again. Everyone's glares felt like daggers. My own father punched me again. "So that's why you want a divorce. You've got someone on the side. How did I raise a bastard like you, son? Stop this nonsense. You're going to put your father in the hospital. Go home and make things right with Vicky." All our friends and family urged me to reconcile, and Victoria, in tears, lowered herself to beg me. My eyes were ice cold as I pushed her away forcefully. "Let go. I don't love you anymore." She didn't know that ever since she started taking care of the neighbor's baby, our marriage had been dead in all but name. Victoria looked at me in disbelief, her lips trembling. What did you say?" Chapter 2. The entire room fell silent in an instant. She cried even harder, but I turned to leave. Victoria used all her strength to hug me from behind. "Don't go, honey. It's my fault. It's all my fault. Give me one more chance. I promise I'll change. Please don't leave me." Chloe, her best friend, blocked my path. "Sincere, what's gotten into you? Apologize to Vicky right now. Vicky has been with you for so many years. How can you bear to hurt her? Have you forgotten how much you used to love each other? You were together from middle school through college, a full 8 years before you got married. Have you forgotten all that? You bastard, are you telling me you don't even want the child in Vicky's womb?" At this, my parents grabbed hold of me, desperately trying to talk some sense into me. "Vicky is carrying your own flesh and blood, and you still want a divorce? Have you lost your conscience?" I tore myself free with all my might, seemingly unfazed by the news, and told them to get lost. "I don't care whose child she's carrying. This divorce is final." My mom couldn't believe I could say something so cruel. "Son, haven't you always wanted a child? Now that Vicky is pregnant, why are you still making a scene?" Her words hit me like a sledgehammer. There was a time I desperately wanted a child of my own, from my 20s into my 30s. 10 years had passed, and I had hoped countless times for a child with Victoria, but each time my hopes were dashed. I didn't want to live like this anymore. All I wanted now was to be completely free of her. The loud argument attracted the single father from next door, Ethan Jones. He came over, holding his baby, intending to give her to Victoria. This was the time every day when Ethan left for work, and Victoria would take over babysitting duties. The moment she saw him, she forgot about our argument and immediately took the baby from his arms. The tenderness in her eyes was something I had never seen before, as if she were looking at her own biological child. A sharp pain, as if my heart had been pierced, shot through me, and I nearly lost my footing. Victoria and I had conceived before, but both pregnancies ended in miscarriages. "Mr. Smith," Ethan said, "I heard the argument just now. I didn't realize you would mind Vicky helping me with the baby. I'll start looking for a new place today and move out with Nancy right away. I don't want to affect your relationship." Victoria frowned, a look of reluctance in her eyes. "Don't be silly. It's just helping with a child. It's nothing. Sincere, don't take your issues with me out on others. You're just recovering from a serious illness. Can you please stop making a scene?" She kept crying pitifully, and everyone redirected their anger toward me. My dad's face was flushed with anger. He grabbed my hand, his voice hoarse. "Listen to your father. Stop this nonsense. Break it off with that person on the side, and live a good life with Vicky. That's more important than anything now that she's carrying your child. If you dare to divorce her, don't blame me for breaking your legs." I remained as cold as ever, my face a blank mask. "The divorce is happening with that." I turned and left. My dad roared at my retreating back, "If you dare to divorce her, I'll disown you." Victoria no longer tried to stop me. "Sincere, if you're going to walk out, don't think you're taking a single penny with you. I'll make sure you leave with nothing since you've found someone new, and are determined to abandon me. Don't blame me for playing dirty. I immediately filed for divorce, submitting the footage I had captured of the two of them in Ethan Jones's house as evidence. Chapter 3. That night, I planned to stay in a hotel, only to find all my bank cards had been frozen. It was then I remembered that for years I had given all my money to Victoria, keeping very little for myself. All these years I had worked day and night to build a home for us. I thought that after our long courtship we could finally have a happy family of our own. I never imagined it was all a joke. I had been alone from the very beginning. After borrowing money from a friend to check into a hotel, I opened my phone and saw a video of the daytime argument. Someone had secretly recorded it and posted it online, and it was now a trending topic. The comment section was filled with abuse directed at me. Some people even threatened to dox me and ruin my reputation. He's divorcing his wife just because she looked after the neighbor's kid? Is he even human? I bet he's the one who cheated and is using this ridiculous excuse to get a divorce. So shameless, I heard his wife is already pregnant. He's abandoning his pregnant wife. He probably has a bunch of illegitimate kids already. The story spread like wildfire. Even the hotel room service attendant gave me a look of contempt. I opened my laptop and a sharp, piercing pain shot through my body. The hundreds of video clips showing the two of them intimately left me breathless. Every night, after she put Ethan's daughter Nancy to sleep, she would slip into his bedroom. I had accidentally connected to his home's security camera feed while helping him fix a pipe. From then on, I could watch them together every night. The way Victoria looked at Ethan was with a special tenderness, a look I had never seen in all our years together. Although she acted like a virtuous and considerate wife in public, only I knew how cold she truly was. After we got married, she told me in no uncertain terms that she didn't want children and forbade me from getting any funny ideas. Unfortunately, she later got pregnant by accident. I begged her to keep it, but she had an abortion without hesitation. That became the great pain of my life. From that day on, she never let me touch her again. But now, right under my nose, she was pregnant with another man's child. I stared at the prenatal checkup report. I had clearly been away on a business trip during that time. Mr. Smith, the court hearing is set for 3 days from now. I prepared all the documents you requested. The next morning, I received a call from my assistant. The company was losing investors due to the pressure from public opinion. Victoria arrived at the office before I did. Honey, don't go in yet. It's swarming with reporters. But I shoved her aside. Victoria fell to the ground in a heap. The commotion instantly drew everyone's attention. She clearly hadn't expected me to push her. Sincere, do you have to be so cruel? I'm carrying your child. Can't you show me a little compassion? Ethan had followed her and helped her up from the floor. The argument immediately attracted the reporters and angry netizens, who aimed their cameras at me, cursing me for being cold-blooded and heartless. Don't blame my husband, Victoria sobbed to the crowd. It was my fault for losing my balance. Please don't blame him. Looking at her hypocritical facade, I almost threw up from disgust. If you don't want a divorce amicably, then don't blame me for suing. Victoria dropped the act. In front of the media, she declared, "Fine. If you won't take the easy way out, then don't blame me for making sure you leave with nothing." Chapter 4. My child doesn't need a father like you. A divorce it is. See you in court. I found it laughable. She had no idea that I had been aware of everything all along. I said nothing, arranged matters at the company, and then threw myself into preparing for the court case. After today's media frenzy, our story blew up even more online. I became a heartless scumbag everyone loved to hate, while Victoria successfully cultivated the image of a fragile victim. Some said I abandoned my pregnant wife for a new lover, even forcing her to have multiple abortions. That I drained our family's assets to support my new flame. That I was disgusted by my wife's pregnant appearance, and so on. Others claimed the car accident had left me brain damaged and mentally unstable. The online slander and abuse were relentless. Even my parents wanted to disown me. You've gone too far. From this day on, I'll pretend I never had a bastard son like you. Look at the filthy things you've done. I'm too ashamed to call you my son anymore. I chose to remain silent through it all, only reappearing at the courthouse 3 days later. On the day of the hearing, friends and family were all there, along with a number of online followers. These people were all waiting to see me make a fool of myself, waiting to see me face the judgment of the law. Victoria grabbed my arm in the gallery and whispered, "Are you sure you want to take it this far? For the sake of our years together, I'll give you one last chance. If you apologize to me, I'll pretend none of this ever happened. You have no chance of winning. The whole country knows what you've done to me. How can you even show your face?" Ethan gave me a mocking smile. Even my own parents seemed to wish I'd go to jail, finding me a total disgrace. But I was unmoved, waiting for the judge to begin the session. Victoria had hired the most famous lawyer in the city. She was determined to win this case. Her lawyer listed my numerous sins during the marriage, trying to argue that I deserved to leave with nothing. Simply helping a neighbor with childcare at night is not sufficient grounds to constitute fault on the wife's part. Based on the current situation, you are the party primarily at fault in this marriage. If you cannot provide new evidence, this court will grant the divorce and rule you as the at-fault party. The courtroom erupted in cheers. Victoria and Ethan hugged each other tightly in excitement. Everyone was shouting that I got what I deserved. They were already celebrating their victory. Unflustered, I signaled to the judge, "I have new evidence. Security camera footage from the neighbor Ethan Jones's house. And a DNA paternity test report for the fetus Victoria is currently carrying." In an instant, the courtroom fell dead silent. Everyone's expression turned grim. Victoria's face was a mask of horror. I knew the real show was about to begin. Chapter 5. When the hundreds of video clips from the security camera were presented to the judge, the crowd was taken aback, then began to mock. Did this guy really suffer brain damage? He's actually using someone else's home security footage as evidence. He's still struggling even when it's over. If it were me, I'd be too ashamed to show my face. The courtroom buzzed with dismissive chatter. But at that moment, only Victoria and Ethan understood the gravity of this evidence. Her face was a blotchy mess of red and white, like she'd swallowed something foul. Ethan's eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't believe I had managed to get the footage from his house. "Your Honor, I request to view the latest security footage." Victoria nearly jumped out of her seat, shouting, "No, you can't watch it." Her outburst confused everyone in the room, making them even more curious about what was on the video. "Sincere, where did you get these videos?" She was panicking, trembling with fear, as if the footage held some unspeakable secret. "I finally understand why you were so quiet before. You were waiting for this. Are you really going to make this public? Do you have no regard for our past relationship?" I almost laughed out loud at her question. Did she consider our past relationship when she was cheating on me? The judge ordered Victoria back to her seat with a sharp rap of the gavel. "Silence, this is evidence provided by the plaintiff and should be presented in court." Victoria could no longer keep up the pretense. In a pleading tone, she begged the judge, "Your Honor, I'm begging you, please don't play this video." She had been the one to insist on a public trial. I had warned her several times to reconsider, to cancel the hearing. Whether for the sake of her privacy or mine, I didn't want so many outsiders involved. But Victoria, convinced she would win, couldn't wait to show the world how she had cheated right under my nose and was about to leave me with nothing. Now, she was finally reaping what she had sown. It was too late to escape. The judge ordered the video to be played. On the screen, Victoria appeared, dressed in a sexy lace nightgown, nestled in the arms of a strange man. Their actions were intimate, completely uninhibited by the sleeping child nearby. "My husband is on another business trip. I can spend the next few days with you. You're pregnant now, you should be careful. Don't startle the baby. Your husband still doesn't know Nancy is my child, does he? He's so stupid. He hasn't found out after all these years. I never let him touch me, so of course he never found out. Now the child is practically living on his doorstep and he still has no clue, ha ha." The two were shameless, a perfect pair of adulterers. This is disgusting. I can't believe they're this kind of people. What a pair of adulterers. Not only did they want to steal his money, but they also planned to make him leave with nothing. Shameless, the affair was with her own neighbor. This is mind-blowing. The courtroom erupted in discussion, the atmosphere explosive. Victoria's face was beet red. She never imagined I would have such evidence. She thought her plan was flawless, that I would never in a million years suspect the man she was cheating with was our next-door neighbor. She tried to explain, but in the end, she was speechless, because it was all true. Even her excuse about helping the neighbor with his child now seemed laughably pathetic. The audience in the gallery, realizing they had been deceived, turned on her with accusations and curses. Chapter 6, Lies, It's Fake. It must be fake. What proof do you have that the person in the video is me? Technology is so advanced these days. Who knows if you didn't just forge this? Victoria was still trying to argue, but I immediately presented a report verifying the video's authenticity. It confirmed the footage had not been altered or forged and was legally admissible. Victoria's defense lawyer tried a different tack. If you weren't constantly on business trips, busy with work, why would your wife have cheated? Who wouldn't want to be with their own lawful husband? It was your lack of companionship that led to this. Victoria immediately started weeping, complaining about how my busy work schedule had left her feeling lonely and empty for years. The crowd seemed to be swayed by her tears, gradually beginning to accept this excuse. Come to think of it, it's not entirely her fault. If he had fulfilled his marital duties, maybe she wouldn't have cheated. Ultimately, this man pushed his wife to this point, and he even installed cameras to spy on her. That's terrifying. Public opinion swayed like grass in the wind. With just a few words, it was my fault again. Ethan also stood up to accuse me. You've violated my privacy. I won't let you get away with this. And what kind of man shows a video like this in public to humiliate his own wife? You're not a man at all. Did you ever think about Vicky's feelings? No wonder she didn't want you to touch her. Looking at their disgusting faces, I didn't want to stay a second longer. The curses directed at me grew louder. Even my own parents scolded me for doing the wrong thing. How could you show these videos? How is she supposed to face the world after this? Exactly. As her husband, you showed no consideration for her. The crowd was in an uproar, ready to tear me to pieces. In their eyes, I was an unforgivable monster. But when I presented the DNA paternity tests for both Nancy and the fetus Victoria was carrying, the entire courtroom was stunned. No one dared to pin the label of immorality on me again. They all froze, never imagining such a dramatic turn of events. The man they had all been condemning was the real victim, and Victoria was the real cheater. Because what Victoria had done to me was utterly unforgivable. For so many years I had longed for a child of my own, yet she had two with another man. No man could ever accept this. Victoria looked at me in shock. She never thought I knew about all of this. Honey, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Can you please forgive me? The spectators in the gallery could not forgive her. They finally understood the immense pain I had been enduring. Faced with such a wife, I could never forgive her. Divorce was the only option. My parents finally understood my suffering, and tears of regret streamed down their faces. They deeply regretted their harsh words, their accusations, and even their threat to disown me. Son, Mom and Dad were wrong. We didn't know you were going through so much pain. Victoria, you shameless woman, to do something like this right under our noses. It's disgusting, and after our son treated you so well, spent so much money on you, you were so ungrateful you even schemed to make him leave with nothing at this point. Victoria was sobbing uncontrollably. Her plan had been to teach me a lesson, to humiliate me and ruin my reputation. She would not only get a divorce but also leave me penniless and be with Ethan forever, a perfect 2-for-1 deal. But she never expected that I was fully prepared, just waiting to watch her reap what she had sown. Chapter 7. After reviewing all the evidence, the judge understood everything. This court hereby grants the divorce. The defendant is the at-fault party. With the fall of the judge's gavel, Victoria, as the at-fault party, was ordered to leave the marriage with nothing. Victoria couldn't accept it. She never imagined it would turn out this way. She nearly fainted, collapsing pale-faced onto her chair, tears streaming down her face. How could this happen? How did you know everything all along? You must have spied on my phone, otherwise there's no way you could have known I ignored her and started to leave with my assistant, but she blocked my way. Honey, I'm sorry. This is all my fault. But you have to believe that I love you. I just wasn't in my right mind. I made a terrible mistake. Please forgive me, okay? Don't you want a child? I can have one for you, can't I? Victoria wept bitterly, grabbing my hand and kneeling before me, endlessly repenting. I was as cold and unmoving as a block of wood, not even glancing at her. Seeing this, my parents rushed over and kicked her hard. You wretch, how dare you still approach our son? You have no shame. Not only did you cheat, but you got pregnant with that adulterer's children twice. If our son hadn't found out, you would have deceived him for his entire life, wouldn't you? And I treated you like my own daughter. I never thought you were this kind of person, knowing she had lost everything. Victoria clung to me, refusing to let go. Honey, I won't let go. I'll die before I let go. I know you still have feelings for me. I promise, if you agree to remarry me, I will never contact that man again. I kicked her away. No matter how much she cried and screamed, I didn't look back. This woman had left me utterly heartbroken and disappointed. There was no possibility of me ever going back. Seeing that I was completely unmoved, Victoria flew into a rage. Sincere Smith, don't be so arrogant, since you won't budge even when I beg. Don't expect me to ever come back. I'd rather have Ethan's children than let you touch me. You disgust me. Get lost. The farther the better, and never come back. Her words were like needles stabbing deep into my heart, the pain suffocating. How could so many years of feelings just disappear? I remembered our entire past, from childhood sweethearts to the wedding altar. I still remembered our vows to grow old together. From the innocence of young love to the maturity of building a home, I had focused on my work to give her a better life. Perhaps I did neglect her, but none of that was an excuse for her to cheat. A broken mirror cannot be made whole again, and a shattered relationship cannot be mended. For a long time after the divorce was finalized, I didn't see Victoria again. I assumed she and Ethan were living happily ever after, finally together as they had wished. So I didn't ask about her. The past was in the past. I accepted a date my parents arranged for me and met Summer Holloway, a junior from my younger days whom I hadn't seen in years. With our parents' encouragement, I decided to get to know her better. I had her join my team at the company to gain some experience. I no longer wanted to stay in this city and decided to travel to a new city in 2 days to investigate a project. But on the day I was supposed to leave, I received a call from Victoria's phone. Chapter 8. It was a doctor on the other end of the line telling me that Victoria had suffered a miscarriage. They couldn't reach any of her family members, so they had to call me to come and cover her medical bills. Seeing her crying in such a wretched state, I felt not a shred of pity. I turned and walked away. She took out her phone to call Ethan, but the call wouldn't go through. She sobbed hysterically, her heart-wrenching cries echoing through the hospital room, filled with misery and desolation. I didn't ask where she had been these past days. It was no longer any of my business. The internet was flooded with accusations and insults against her. Victoria was facing unprecedented cyberbullying. Shameless serves her right, cheating on her husband. That kind of woman is toxic. A woman with such a venomous heart should just die. Her husband was so good to her, and she was still thinking about having an affair. On my way home, I received 2 pieces of news at once. Victoria had gone into shock, and her mother, Helen, had suffered a sudden heart attack. Helen Turner had poor health and had been recuperating in the countryside for years, making her difficult to contact. When I got home, Summer had already made soup and was waiting for me. Just as I sat down to eat, I received a call from Helen. Sincere, please come see me. I'm not going to make it. I just want to see you one last time. Her breath was faint, her voice so weak it sounded as if she didn't have long to live. I put down my bowl and chopsticks. After a fierce internal struggle, I went to the hospital. Although Victoria had betrayed me and treated me poorly, her mother had treated me like her own son since before we were married. She was also the one who had ultimately pushed for Victoria and me to get married. By the time I arrived at the hospital, Helen was already in a state of shock. The doctors had issued several critical condition notices. She needed an expensive medication that required a family member's signature and immediate payment, or her life would be in danger. I wanted to sign and save her, but I was already divorced from Victoria. Helen and I were no longer related in any way. I wanted to help, but I couldn't. Victoria had been rushed to the emergency room due to her miscarriage, and couldn't come out to save her mother. After her father passed away, it had just been Victoria and her mother, with no other relatives. After being mobbed by the media, not only had she gone into shock, but she had also suffered a severe head injury from a fall. After her miscarriage surgery, she needed brain surgery as well. I stood outside the door, quietly watching it all unfold. She had brought all of this upon herself. By the time Victoria's surgery was over, her mother had been pronounced dead because no family member had signed for her treatment. When Victoria was brought to the hospital, she was already hemorrhaging badly. The baby couldn't be saved. On top of that, because she had missed the optimal window for treatment, her uterus had to be removed. When she woke up, she broke down completely, her eyes red from crying as she stared at the medical report. And when the doctor told her that her mother had also died because the rescue efforts had failed, she froze. Victoria shrieked at me, "Sincere, you bastard, why did you watch her die and do nothing?" I sneered. "I watched her die. Don't forget, you were the one who wanted the divorce. We're divorced. What right did I have to sign the papers and pay to save your mother? Don't blame me. The person who really killed your mother was you." Victoria stood blankly, her eyes brimming with tears, and she wept her heart out. I wondered if in that moment she regretted divorcing me. If we hadn't divorced, her mother wouldn't have died, and she wouldn't have lost her uterus. As I was about to leave, Victoria stopped me, her voice trembling as she asked, "Wait, where's Ethan? Did he come to see me?" I shook my head coldly and turned to leave, but she refused to believe it. No, that's not true. He must have come to see me. I love him so much, how could he not come to see me? You must be lying to me." Victoria was beyond help. She had brought her current situation entirely upon herself. Ethan had ruined her life so completely, yet even now, she was still thinking about him. It was truly self-inflicted. Instead of grieving for her deceased mother, she was worried about whether an outsider had come to visit her. If I were her mother and had a daughter like that, I probably wouldn't be able to rest in peace. As I left the room, I found that Ethan had actually sent me a message. Chapter 9. If you want to see me, fine, but first you have to go see Victoria and make everything clear to her. I agreed to Ethan's request to meet, but I also learned that he had no intention of marrying Victoria. Ethan was already married with a family. I was just curious to see how Victoria would react when she found out. I called Ethan to her hospital room. Victoria was thrilled to see him. She wiped away her tears and ran from the bed to his side, holding his hand affectionately. "Ethan, you came to see me. I knew you would. I know you must still love me. We can get married, and I'll definitely." It was then I realized things weren't so simple. Since Victoria had left our marriage with nothing, she was penniless, and Ethan had already started to despise her. To maintain the relationship, Victoria had resorted to taking odd jobs everywhere. But she had no idea that Ethan was already married, and that to him Nancy was just a burden. Ethan ruthlessly shook off her hand and pushed her away. "Let go, I can't marry you because I'm already married." He flashed his wedding ring and marriage certificate. Victoria's eyes filled with disbelief. "See this? I'm married. I was lying to you before. I don't love you at all. I was only with you for the money. Now that you're broke, who would love you?" His voice was low, devoid of any affection for her, only impatience. The reason Ethan had contacted me was that the scandal had gotten too big. It not only threatened his wife, who lived abroad, but could also end his acting career. He had only intended to have some fun, but now he couldn't get away. He had long since grown to hate Victoria. Victoria froze, tears streaming down her face. "You're lying. You must be lying to me. You said you would marry me. I divorced for you, got pregnant for you, and ended up like this for you. How can you just leave me like this? I know it's my fault. Can't you just forgive me?" She knelt before Ethan, crying her heart out. "I was wrong. I was really wrong. Don't go, don't leave me." Ethan, who had been relatively calm, suddenly changed his demeanor and kicked Victoria to the ground. "You're disgusting. Stop pestering me and get lost. You're the one who dragged me into this mess. I just wanted to have some fun, and now you've ruined me." Ethan turned and left without a shred of lingering affection. Victoria was utterly devastated. She finally understood that Ethan had never loved her. She thought he loved her, but in reality, she was just his plaything. From the day he returned to the country, he had treated her as nothing more than a toy. He played with her when he felt like it, and tossed her aside when he got bored, without a second thought. Victoria cried until she had no tears left. She had now lost everything. As an actor, Ethan's relationship history was far more extensive and chaotic than she had ever imagined. But Victoria had foolishly believed she had found true love, only to end up in this state. After being discharged from the hospital, Victoria tried to call me to pick her up, but she couldn't get through. Because I had already changed my phone number, she had no way of contacting me. Unwilling to give up, she tried to find a respectable job, but the public trial had caused such a scandal that everyone shunned her. Chapter 10. Victoria screamed in despair, unable to believe what her life had become. She searched everywhere for work, only to find that no one would even hire her for the assistant positions she once looked down upon. Due to the horrific reputation from her past actions, nobody wanted her. By the time she realized it, it was too late. She had already lost everything. Victoria cried until she could barely breathe. She was now truly left with nothing. She had no job and had to struggle to raise 2 children. I felt nothing about this. It was all her own doing. Physically scarred and deep in debt, her mental state deteriorated. Meanwhile, my company's reputation grew, and our new project attracted a massive investment. When Victoria realized how well I was doing, she dragged her weary body to find me again. Her face was pale, her body hunched over. She looked old and pitiful. She grabbed my hand and pleaded, "Honey, I was wrong. Can you please not leave me? I was ignorant before. I didn't know how to cherish you. It's all my fault I can't live without you." Seeing her sobbing uncontrollably, I suddenly thought of my former self. In the past, no matter what mistakes Victoria made, as long as she acted cute and begged for my forgiveness, I would forgive her unconditionally. After all, I had once loved her so much. Even when she made terrible mistakes, I never gave up on her. But now, I no longer loved her. I was completely and utterly disappointed in her. I had seen her true colors, and there was no way I could ever choose to love her again. She was always blind to the good I did for her, single-mindedly focused on being with her childhood sweetheart. She trampled all over my dignity and love, humiliating me without mercy. I had given up on her long ago. There was no possibility of us getting back together. Let go. I stopped loving you a long time ago. Belated affection is cheaper than dirt. I can't be soft-hearted with you again. Besides, I'm about to get engaged. Stop pestering me." Victoria froze on the spot. She saw my girlfriend, Summer Holloway. We were very much in love, and she was already pregnant with my child. After meeting her, I realized I could love someone else again, and I no longer had any feelings for Victoria. Victoria couldn't believe I had fallen in love with someone else so quickly. Her eyes filled with tears of regret, and she cried uncontrollably. A broken mirror cannot be made whole again, and a shattered relationship cannot be repaired. You're lying. I don't believe you could fall in love with someone else so fast. Have you forgotten all our years together? But my heart felt not the slightest ripple, as if the person before me was a complete stranger. I had to admit our past was sweet, but it was just that, the past. You were able to fall in love with Ethan quickly enough. Why can't I do the same? Stop harassing me. We can't go back to how things were. Face reality. One must always look forward. A rotten relationship isn't worth looking back on. Victoria refused to accept it. I called security to have her removed. Her life after that was very difficult. Eventually, I heard no more news of her. A year later, Summer and I got married and started a new family. I had my own child now, and the three of us lived a very happy life. The end.